Good morning, everybody. I hope you all had a good weekend. We have just one more week to go until half term. Hooray. And then everyone should have a very well-deserved rest. And we start with some photos of the week. Let's have a look. So Mrs. Chaplio went for a run around Boscombe and she saw this fantastic piece of street arts on one of the houses. Amazing piece of art there. So thank you very much, Mrs. Chaplio, for sending that in. And then we had, I should have said, arachnophobes look away, but Mrs. Breeze found this fantastic spider on the side of her house as she came out the front door. It's called a garden spider, but the other name for it, according to Miss Elford, is a cross spider, and it has fantastic markings on it, and you might see them close to your houses or in your gardens at the moment. So they're out and about. Keep your eyes peeled. And we also had, now Mrs. Norman, she went for a walk, went to see a musical concert actually yesterday evening. Izzy Atkinson, one of our former pupils, was singing, and she said she was absolutely fantastic. And on the way back, she went past Christchurch Harbour and the quayside there, moonlit swans, very beautiful. So thank you very much, Mrs. Norman, for sending in that photograph. And the final one has come in from a parent who rescued a baby sparrow that had fallen out of its nest and put it back and sent us this photograph. So thank you very much for those photos. Keep them coming in. As I say, we have 3 assemblies a week, so we always need photos. Now, last week in assembly, I introduced a new member of the Talbot Heath community, Baby Worsley. And today I'm introducing another new member of our community. The school has a new school counsellor, Mrs. Stewart, and she made this video to introduce herself to you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Stewart, and I'm the new school counsellor here at Talbot Heath. So I just wanted to say hello to you all and introduce myself. I'm coming into school at the moment on Friday, but in January I'll be coming into school a lot more frequently. So I guess some of you might be thinking, what is a school counsellor going to do? And I suppose I'm here really for everybody. I'm not in place of any of your friends or your teachers or your family, people that you might normally talk to. I'm also here as somebody alongside of them. So hopefully you'll work with me if things are feeling a little bit tough, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, then you have somebody in school to come and talk to. So the difference with me as a school counsellor is, I suppose I've just got more time to listen. You know, very often our friends and our families might be just too busy sometimes to have all that time where we can just talk and offload. And also sometimes our friends and family just kind of want to fix us and make it all better. So I've also got special training. I've done some exams in counselling, so I'll be able to help, perhaps give you some advice and some help. Not always able to solve it, but together we might be able to work out a way forward. Also, confidentiality is the same as with me, as with any of your teachers and support staff in school. So we always want to make you as safe as possible. So I guess counselling is just another type of support that we can give you in school. Lastly, I just want us all at Talbot Heath to have really good mental health. And so sometimes you might hear or see me talking about things that might help us with really establishing good mental health and some of the things that we can positively do ourselves. So counselling is really for everybody, and you know, if you see me in the corridor, please say hello, and if I look a bit lost, then just guide me back up to the counselling room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart, and we're very pleased to be having you as part of our team. And our counsellor is part of our pastoral team at Talbot Heath, and part of our role is safeguarding, ensuring that our pupils are safe. And we do this with regard to education links to online safety, through our PSHRE sessions, and also through developing a culture where pupils know that they need to come and speak with someone if they don't feel safe. They've developed ways to become more resilient and to protect themselves. I am the designated safeguarding lead, the DSL, here at Talbot Heath, and I'm supported by Mrs. Stone, who is the deputy DSL, and we also have Mrs. Clems within sixth form, who is a safeguarding lead, and we have specialist training there so that we can advise, support and protect you. However, events on Friday and the tragic murder of the MP, Sir David Ames, really reminded me of another safeguarding duty and responsibility that I have at Talbot Heath School with regard to preventing students from being drawn into extremism. You're going to see these posters appearing around school this week, and you'll see two key words. One is prevent and one is channel. But the main word I want you to hold in your minds and take away from this morning's assembly is prevent. This is a programme that's been pushed out across schools nationally for the last few years, and it's something that we have a duty to integrate into all of your school lives. In the past 5 years, 2 MPs have been murdered by extremists. Jo Cox, the Labour MP, was murdered 5 years ago. She was killed by a right-wing extremist, and David Ames was killed by a religious extremist, they believe. People are not born with extreme views. They're not born extremists. They develop these views over a period of time, and often through a process called radicalization, in which others influence their thinking in order to make someone's views become extreme and to make them act in an extreme way. And ultimately, you can see in these killings, those are acts of extremism. So I'm going to talk you through some slides this morning just to see if you can identify what extremism is, and then you can find out what we can do to challenge it and to prevent it from happening. So if we look at the first slide, I'm going to show you some statements in a moment. I want you to have a look at them and think, is that an extreme view that's being expressed in the speech bubble, or is that a reasonable view? An extreme is a view that might seem unreasonable or unacceptable, often because it is hateful towards someone else. So it could be it's a not extreme, it's in the middle, or it's a very extreme view. So let's have a look at some of these statements, and I want you just to think whether or not those statements are extreme views. So the first one we've got, everyone should be able to live wherever they want. People who eat meat should be punished. We should all have the same religion. Girls shouldn't play football, they ruin the game. People who commit a crime should be in prison forever. So have a think about those statements and where you might place them. And if you heard them or read them, would you think that's a reasonable, acceptable view, or would you place that as an extreme view? And would you start to have alarm bells ringing? Right, so let's have a look at the next one. So why are we talking about this in particular? And you'll see there's a little icon in the top right-hand corner, let's talk about it. Because particularly during lockdown, people have been spending increasing amounts of time online, and it's impacted on how young people live and families across the world communicate. And the internet has taken on an increasing role in our communications. And there are people there online who are trying to use this in order to spread extreme ideas. And you can see that there's been a great debate since the murder of Sir David Ames as to whether or not we should bring in some tighter restrictions with regard to the internet, what people are allowed to post there, whether or not people can stay anonymous when they're posting these hateful statements towards MPs, towards women, hate crime, footballers across our whole society. So that's why we're having this conversation today. And let's move on and look at the next part. Misinformation and fake news can also play a part in spreading extreme ideas and extreme views. The outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, there was a lot of misinformation and a lot of hatred and really unpleasant postings, which led to East Asian people being mistreated. And you can see there people holding up signs and communities feeling suddenly targeted and threatened unfairly. And that should never, ever happen, that this sort of hate crime is allowed to spread to the point where people are feeling intimidated or treated in a discriminatory way. Let's have a look at the next slide. And there are people, particularly during the pandemic, who are trying to influence children. They're trying to influence you. They're trying to take advantage of the amount of time that you are spending online, and they're targeting you. And there are different types of extremist groups that might target you. There was a story in Hollyoaks recently about a right-wing extremist group and how they were trying to influence and target young people to get them to follow their views and undertake violent acts. And similarly, you may have people who, for religious reasons, are trying to target and influence young people. Let's have a look. So extremists, when they're online, they often tell stories. They want to hook you in, they want to get your sympathy, and they try and persuade you to agree, particularly vulnerable people, young people. They want to persuade you to agree with their extreme views, and they're looking at people who are different to them, and they're trying to make the point that people cannot live together peacefully. And some common differences that they target, they might be looking at religion, they might be looking at politics, at race, or at gender. Whatever makes them different, they're going to try and exploit that, and they're going to try and radicalize the views of some of the people that they are targeting. And let's look at the next slide. So here's a typical story, and an extremist might tell a story and weave this narrative to try and pull you in. So Stay's sister died in a terrible accident. He was very upset. He blamed the doctor, Ms. Barr, thought she had made a mistake. He was very angry at her. Members of an extremist group recognized that Stay was vulnerable and pretended to be his friend. They told Stay that people like Ms. Barr should be blamed for most of his problems because they're Muslim. They tried to persuade him to damage a local centre that many Muslims use. Fortunately, Stay realised that these views were extreme and contacted Prevent for support, and they helped him to leave the group safely. But you can see how that personal situation, that tragic situation, was ideal for extremists to come in and exploit and tell that narrative and try and position what had happened from a different perspective in order to radicalize that person. And it was through the Prevent team that that person managed to get themselves out of the clutches of that extreme group. Let's look at the next slide here. So far-right groups are often based on hatred, and they believe that certain groups of people shouldn't live with others. And there are a number of racist groups that encourage hate and violence and that are banned in the UK and should not be targeting, but do target young people. They target teenagers. And I said to you before that Hollyoaks, the TV programme, they used a storyline, and it was based on the experiences of someone called John, who used to be part of a far-right extremist group. He told his story to the writers, and they used the information to come up with a storyline. And after that story was broadcast on that television programme, a number of young people came forward and said, this has been my experience, I've been targeted, I've been radicalised. And it helped them explain their situation and come forward and ask for help. So let's move on, please. So after Hollyoaks showed that story, it was praised for teaching audiences how to spot the signs of extremism, both in person and online. And this is what you have to be aware of. These groups use social media and they're targeting vulnerable and lost people. Then they try and change the way they see the world. And here again, many people felt encouraged and emboldened to come and talk about their experiences after this storyline was published. And let's move forward onto the next one, please. So you may have remembered or heard in the news about the 2017 attack. 3 attackers drove a van into people walking along London Bridge, and they were inspired by Islamic State, by ISIS. And here you've got a statement saying, the people who did this are just human beings like you and me. No one is born a terrorist, but people are turned into terrorists by radicalization. And it was quite interesting. The person who's been arrested with regard to the murder of the MP on Friday, his father expressed how shocked he was. He couldn't believe that his son would have been drawn into this to the point where he would have gone and stabbed an MP. And that's through the process of radicalization, making someone become more extreme in their political or religious beliefs. If we look to the next one. So there was a terror attack, 2017, Westminster Bridge, and the attacker, who was inspired by Islamic State, ISIS, drove a car onto the pavement, injured more than 50 people, and there was a person called Travis was injured in the attack. And Travis is pictured there saying, had people that knew him spoken out about changes in his behavior or in his life, how could things have been different? So it's important for us to be able to spot these signs, to see whether we're being targeted or others around us, and to notice changes in behavior that might indicate that someone is being targeted by others, by extremists who wish to radicalize them. Let's have a look. So what can you do? Well, Thomas and Travis, those are people who were commenting on those stories. They were wondering about whether things would have been different if someone had spotted the signs of extremist views earlier. And we all have a responsibility to help keep each other safe. It's important that you know what to do if you see or hear any extreme ideas. So it's our responsibility to make sure our friends, our family members are protected from these extreme ideas that will make them hurt others and harm themselves. So let's have a look and see. So what can you do? Well, it could be that if you log onto a school computer or you log onto a computer at home, you see a website that hasn't been closed down. So someone's been looking at a site, it says all religions are evil, it's got inappropriate pictures, for example, you can see their white zone, those sort of stickers, things that indicate that there could be extremist views here being shared. You might spot a leaflet in your friend's bag if you're getting ready for football club, or it's got white zone or something on the cover. Young person is yelling at the bus driver for not letting her off. She shouts an aggressive comment about the bus driver's skin color. All of these things, instances where you have extreme views being expressed. So let's have a look. If you see or you hear something in your community that doesn't sound or feel right, whether it's at school, in a local town, on the bus, it's always best to tell a trusted adult. So depending on what you see or hear, tell a teacher if you're at school, or a trusted adult if you're outside of school like a parent. You can contact Childline for free, but also you can go on and have a look at the Prevent website. We've got posters around school, but also it's online, and the Let's Talk About It website has a whole area of what you should do and what we recommend you do. And as I say, it's something that hopefully none of you will experience in your lifetimes or during your school time here, but it's something that it's important to do because it's part of our safeguarding duty to you. And just like those murders that took place where people said, how could that have happened? How could that young person have become radicalized to the point where they would murder someone? Well, if someone had spotted the signs, perhaps reported them, talked to them, tried to get involved, make that young person less vulnerable, the outcome could have been very different. Right, so let's have a look. So families, and this is also for friends, boredom can cause young people and children to engage with new groups or individuals, can make them vulnerable to those who are looking to influence them. Online radicalization can be hard to spot because it is complex, but there are some possible signs to look out for. Maybe some of your friends or family members are looking at unusual websites or forums. Perhaps they're suddenly changing their identity and the language they use. Are they being very extreme in some of the things that they're saying? Have they joined new or secret groups? Are they talking to new people? Are they shutting their devices, locking down? Are they sharing religious, political, or hate-based videos online? Are you seeing signs that are red flags to you, warning signs? This person now is getting involved in something that I think is extreme. Radicalizers target children. They target young people by messaging on popular apps and websites, and they wait to see who responds to them before taking the conversations further on a private platform. So be aware of all these things. That these people are out there in the same way that you have to safeguard yourself when using certain apps and devices. And we talked to you about online safety. Radicalizers and extremist groups are part of those people who are looking to influence young people in particular. So these posters, as I say, they will go around school. You will see them appearing in your classrooms. And my aim this morning was to make you aware of what radicalization is and how you can protect yourself and others, your friends and your family members from it. If you have any concerns at all, you can raise them with the teacher or with myself or Mrs. Stone, or as I said to you, you can contact the Prevent or the Channel helplines, and you can do that by telephone or online. Now, I've got some notices this morning, and I want to start with some congratulations. It was a very busy weekend for our swimmers and runners, and our congratulations go to Erin Wells. She took part in the National School Biathlon Championships in Bath. 65 people entered, and she came 5th overall, which was the highest position for anyone in the Southwest. So congratulations to Erin. And at Millfield, there was a very high-level swimming meet. There were Olympians swimming in the older age groups and fantastic times and performances from our pupils. Catherine Elan came first in 100-metre fly with a PB and first in the 50-metre fly with a PB. Bertie Bryson got personal bests in every event. She was first in 100-metre fly, first in 50, 100 and 200-metre breaststroke, first in the 400-metre individual medley, second in 50 fly and 200 individual, third in 200-metre back, 100-metre free and 400-metre free. And the 100-metre and 200-metre backstroke times for Bertie were club records. Scarlett also got personal best. She came first in the 400-metre free and top 5 in all other swims. Lottie Vavasaur, all personal bests, third in the 200-metre back, third in the 50 breaststroke, top 10 in all other swims. Betsy, personal bests, highest position, 4th in 400 metres, top 10 in 6 other events. And there's the English Schools Relays coming up on Wednesday. So can we give our swimmers and Erin a huge round of applause? Well done. Absolutely brilliant, really proud of you. And our swimming academy goes from strength to strength. Now, reminder, if you haven't yet made a poppy, the poppy wall, we want it to be spectacular and very moving. If you're in lower 5 to upper 6, please, please, there are workstations and informed times, break times, lunch times, before, after school. Go and make your poppies so that when we actually cascade it down the side of the hub, you can say, I was part of that. So please, form tutors in those year groups, make sure that your form groups are going up and taking part in that. And I just wanted to finish by saying, well, good luck to our upper 6th theatre studies students. They are doing their assessment this morning. I'm looking forward to coming and watching it. Right, I'm handing over to Reverend Burke this morning. Are you there, Jonathan?
Yes, indeed. Good morning, Mrs. Holloway. The death of an MP sends shockwaves through the whole country. I'm sure in our prayers we remember his family and those whose lives were shattered by his sudden death. But we pray, there are so many people of good intent in this world, and we thank you for them, O God. but we are reminded that some have negative feelings, destructive and extremist views. Help us all to strive for a better, fairer, kinder world, where bitterness and hatred are transformed into constructive actions. May we play our part in that process. We ask this in the name of Jesus, who came to bring peace. Amen.
Amen. Have a very good week, everybody. Bye.